After I gave you guys a quadratic. And I think I said, all right, guys, here's your quadratic. Like g of x equals, x squared plus 1. And then I said, hey, let's plug in numbers, right? We did like g of -1. And then all you did was plug in -1 in for x. And you found the value, right? Do that. So, all right, so piecewise function is a function. So that means we can take values and plug it in, right? So I'm going to use the graph, because when you guys have the graph, it really helps understand why we do what we do. However, however, a lot of times you're not going to have the graph, so we still want to understand this just by looking at the equations. So if we want to look at, let's actually do a couple of them. Let's do f of -1, and let's do f of 1. I'll add to it. All right, so let's do f of -1. If we want to find the value of the function at -1, let's look at the graph to find the value. So we go to -1, and we say, all right, what is the point on the graph? Now, again, you don't even need to know what the point is. Forget about the point. What function are we talking about when we're putting that point there? Which one? E to the x. We're not talking about this one at all. Would you guys agree? Yes. We're only talking about this function. So when you do f of -1, you're only going to put -1 in for e. There's no point in putting it in for x cubed, right? Because in reality, the x cubed one only looks like this. For x is greater than or equal to 0. Right? Guys, does it even make sense to plug -1 into that function? Because there's no point there, right? There's nothing to even plug it into. Does that make sense? But when you look at the piecewise function, there is the e to the x one. It's right there. So you plug it into there, which ends up being 1 over e. Now let's go and look at f of 0. When we go f of 0, we have an open hole and we have a closed hole. Uh-oh. Which one should we do? Well, obviously, what's the one that's included? The closed one. Oh, closed one is this function, which is this one. And obviously, guys, it makes sense. Greater than or equal to. So f of 0, you're going to plug it in for there. So you'd say 0 cubed, which equals 0, which we knew that right there anyways, looking at the graph. But you guys see how it doesn't make sense to plug 0 in for here? Right? Because the graph is undefined at 0. It says don't plug it in for there. Only plug 0 into that one. And then last but not least, f of 1. Well, again, 1's right here. Which function are we plugging that into? This one, right? You're not plugging 1 into here. E to the x is over here. So you just do 1 cubed, which equals 1. OK? So you're going to be expected to graph as well as evaluate, but not to draw pictures on your notes.